Hello everyone, Luke here, and Mario is a pretty big name in gaming. Not only with his big platforming adventures, but also with his side games like Mario Party and Mario Sports games. But probably the biggest of these,
Mario Kart, the most universally liked franchise of all time. Like really, go up to anybody on the street and ask them to play Mario Kart. Chances are they will say yes. Everybody knows how to play Mario Kart. It's so simple. You drive 3 laps around a track as a Mario character in the Mario world and try and get first place. Items are hitting these things called item boxes, and hitting them can get you either a defensive or offensive item to hit onto other players.
the actual concept for Mario Kart is so simple, but I think that's why it's so popular. It's just that anybody can understand it. Anyone can play it, but only a few can master. Every shortcut, every item, every character combo. There's a reason why your friend can always beat you, or you can always beat your friends. The Mario Kart formula has been perfected over the past 30 years to be what it is today. But let's go back to where it all began with Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo.
Because back then, the Super Nintendo was the most powerful gaming device there was, and no other game showed that like F-Zero. Still to this day, it looks impressive for 1991 standards. The reason why it looks so good was because of a new graphical capability called Mode 7, which made the illusion 3D. So it isn't true 3D, but it looked pretty close. So while F-Zero was great, it was a racer without multiplayer.
F-Zero was a great game, but it was a bit too hardcore to be enjoyed by everybody. So Nintendo's working on another kart racer. This one was meant to be more casual, something that anybody can understand.
So they chose carts, and the main character was some guy that looked an awful lot like Mario, so they said why not and just made it a Mario Kart racer. And just like that, Mario Kart was born.
So, let's play Super Mario Kart released in 1992.
This looks like a Mario Kart. You have Grand Prix mode, race against computers, time trials mode where you try and get the fastest time. Let's just start off with Grand Prix mode. In the character selection, you have Mario, Peach, Bowser, Koopa Troopa, Luigi, Yoshi, Y, and Toad. They added Donkey Kong Jr. playable. Now, why him instead of regular Donkey Kong? I don't know. Donkey Kong probably would have made more sense. The list of Mario characters in 1992 was a lot more limited than it is today. Besides DK Jr., everybody else here makes sense. Okay, here we go, and what? Yeah, the game splits the screen into two, the top being the game while the bottom being the map. Now, this design choice gets a lot of hate, and yeah, the map isn't very useful, but you have to remember the whole game was built with this two-screen layout in mind. When you have two people, the map is replaced with a second player's view. This design choice was due to the limitations of the Super Nintendo, so while it does get a lot of hate, I don't think it's that bad. Like, you don't really notice it while driving. For the actual gameplay, I mean, it's Mario Kart. You race around the track 5 times in this game instead of the normal 3, and try and get first place. You can hit item plates to get items to throw onto other opponents. For the items, they're all very simple in this game. You have your basic green shells and bananas, you also have red shells, which home onto opponents, kind of. It really took a while for the red shell technology to really work, so most of the time your red shell will just hit a wall. You have the coin item, which slightly increases your speed, and the feather. You can use it to get a little jump. In concept, it's cool, but most of the time I end up just blowing the item to get something actually useful. The mushroom is an item which gives you a speed boost to take shortcuts. The star, which makes you invincible. It's a rare item, but an item that will always come in handy. Now for the gameplay, and man, this is a casual racing game for the Super Nintendo. This game is hard. Some may blame it on the track design, others may blame it on the controls, but everybody knows it's those gosh darn computers. They are just cheaters. Now, say what you will, but they made the computers way harder than they needed to be. There's this thing called rubber banding, which pretty much is where you're so far ahead, the computer players will get a speed boost to catch up with you to make the game more fun. But it's just too much in this game. If you hit a computer with an item, like 30 seconds later, they'll be right on your tail again. But if you get hit by an item, it's just super hard to catch up. And the fact that the computer players get special items that you can't use doesn't help. Yeah, you can only get an item after running after an item plate. The computers can get an item whenever they want. Mario and Luigi can just use a star whenever they want. Just whenever they want, even in first. Some computer players have items that you can't even use. Yoshi has an egg item. Bowser has a fireball item that can be really unfair when they use it like 3 times in one lap. It just feels really unfair at times. Look at this race right here and how many gosh darn times Yoshi uses that egg item. I counted 8 times in one race. Like, dude, you need to chill. Now for the controls, which are very mixed, but for the positives, the controls are very responsive. All the actions are never delayed or anything, so that's good. But the turning, it's fine, but what separates the boys from the men in Mario Kart is drifting. Now, usually in Mario Kart, you get rewarded for drifting by getting a speed boost or something, but here, drifting just doesn't feel right. You drift too hard and then turning after pushes you outward. It's just really awkward. So, most of the time, I'll just let go of acceleration to turn a corner so I don't fly off the track. Speaking of the tracks, a lot of the layouts are very basic and plain, not to mention the repeated themes of the tracks. Like, you have 4 Mario circuits and 3 Bowser's castles. Just like every cup feels like a combination of a set amount of tracks. Like, what's the difference between Donut Plains 1 and Donut Plains 2? A bridge. I know this was due to the hardware limitations, but it makes a lot of the tracks feel the same. The themes themselves are kind of cool. You have Mario Circuit, Ghost Valley, Donut Plains. A lot of these were worlds in Super Mario World, which was kind of cool. I like when Mario Kart games have a track based on the big Mario game that just came out, like Royal Raceway or Peach Beach. But that's just the racing mode. There's also the battle mode, one of the more forgotten modes in Mario Kart, but one of my favorites. Here, it's very simple. You can 1v1 someone in 4 different arenas. Each person has 3 balloons, and you use items to pop your opponents. It's a pretty fun time, if a bit simple.
And that's Super Mario Kart. I know it sounds like I don't like Super Mario Kart, which is just not true. It was a revolutionary game that started one of the biggest multiplayer series of all time. And without it, we wouldn't have the kart racer series we know today. And as always, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.